Hi, this is Robert Clinky-Beard with the Commercial Landscaper Podcast. We're going to take 20 minutes to deliver some amazing content from accomplished leaders and business owners to provide you with some value to scale your business and to become a better leader and push yourself out of your comfort zone. We encourage you to like and share with everyone to spread our messages. I'm super excited to announce our new partnership with Weathermatic. For most landscape companies, irrigation is an untapped gold mine for growth and profit, but labor and process problems stand in the way. So Weathermatic has created a partnership to package mobile technology and software with proven business solutions to tackle the perennial irrigation challenges and take your operations to a whole new level. I encourage you to reach out to Weathermatic and learn more. Cheers, everyone. Hi, this is Robert Clinky-Beard with the Commercial Landscaper Podcast. I'm really excited to see a good friend here, Leslie Herndon, with a Greenscape. Leslie, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Robert. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
So, I think the last time we saw each other was in, I'm trying to remember, it was down in Dallas at the Elevate event.
Maybe, yeah, or no, Aspire event. Were you at Aspire? Maybe,
Yeah, yes, it was Aspire.
Yeah.
So we obviously go to a few good
Right.
events. But I'd love the audience just to know a little bit about you and your background, please.
Okay. Yeah. So my name is Leslie Herndon. I have been at Greenscape for about 22 years, a little over 22 years at this point. I started here as a floriculture technician 22 years ago, straight out of NC State University. I'm a graduate of their 4-year horticulture program. Go Wolfpack. I've been at Greenscape, like I said, I've run about every role in the business. I've been an account manager, a client relationship manager, been a safety officer, floriculture manager, vice president, director of client relations, and now I'm running as president of Greenscape currently and working for the Curran family.
Awesome. I'm going to catch you off guard here, but I mean, I love seeing ladies excel in the the landscape industry, and I think we need a lot more women in the industry.
Be helpful.
I always like to spotlight people who have started off from a gardener technician level and progressed through the company. What do you think some of your attributes that helped you progress within the company?
I think, for me, one of the things I tell this to our team members now is I never said no to an opportunity. Meaning, and for a while there, the joke was when I was younger in my career that every time somebody moved on to another opportunity, Leslie took their job. And I don't mean like in a bad way. I mean, they're like, "Hey, Leslie, the girl who's doing safety just left. Can you do that?" I'm like, "Yep, sure can." I had no idea how to be a safety officer. I didn't know the first thing about any of that stuff. I was like, "No, I'm going to figure that out though, because that sounds like good. I should do that." We had a account manager leave, and I was like, "Hey, Leslie, we're going to give you these accounts." And I'm like, "Okay, cool." We were a much smaller company back there. We would probably not operate quite the same way today that we did back then, but and then the really great thing too is I think I'm really blessed to work for owners who practice open book management. And I think that, and the more and more I see in our industry, the more we hire people from outside of our company, the more I see that is unusual. They come in, they really don't fully understand how things work, how the finances of the company work, how the business functions. And I come from, my father is a small business owner. My sister now runs that business. They're actually in sheet metal. Neither one of us picked girly careers, but whatever. She's not exactly in a female dominated industry either. So anyway, I really think that was a big part of my development too, in that I understood business from just growing up with my dad and my mother, but I also understood it from a very early age at Greenscape because Michael, Curran, Daniel's father, who I work for now, would pull us in and we would review financials intently. I got a lot of just financial knowledge from them, and that's helped me be able to really see bigger picture for longer. And I think that's been a really important thing for me also.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, I think I feel a lot of owners are, I don't know, apprehensive, the best word, about sharing some of that stuff with people because, they feel as though suddenly, people are going to think how much money they're making, I should be making more, creates all that conflict. But I think just understanding that knowledge and then be able to understand, the cash flow part of it and how all these other things, taxes and everything else, it just gives you a better sense. So I love how you've embraced that open book management.
We try to keep that going. We host, as part of our EOS rhythm, we host a monthly town hall for our entire leadership team. And in that, Daniel does still practice open book management. I mean, he puts the numbers up on the screen. Now, we don't put the whole P&L up there. That's a lot for everybody to understand. But we do review that obviously with branch managers, and they can take it down to folks in their team who are interested. But it's not a secret document. It's just a lot of numbers. But we take the P&L, Daniel divides it into what he calls the profit triangle. And we talk about, gross margin, expense and overhead, right? And revenue. And so we talk about those kind of corners of the triangle, gross margin, revenue, and overhead, and talks about what they can do to pull on it, push on it. And our whole leadership team is on a profit sharing plan. And so, they know exactly what has to happen. And for not only the owners are benefiting, but we also benefit from this too when we pull these levers to get continual growth and opportunity. And we put up there, what the ARs are, what our collection number is, and that affects profit sharing. And everybody knows you gotta have cash to run a business. And so all those things have been really key. And we continue to try to get our team understanding those parts of the picture. Cause I'm not real sure. And in all honesty, there's not really a secret sauce in our industry. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. It's not rocket science.
It's not, it might be rocket science, but there's not secret sauce. We don't have one landscape company who's just totally figured out how to eliminate overhead or figured out how to reduce their expenses any more than the next guy over, in all honesty. So I don't know that that's such a secret thing you can't tell the employees, right?
Yeah.
I think it creates more problems than positives.
I agree 100%. And that sort of actually ties into something we talked about offline, which, just the use of data in companies. We have so much data now, we see it every day in social media with, whether it be different channels we look at, but, with landscape companies specifically, you've got, stuff coming from Aspire, Boss, GPS systems, other software programs. I know Daniel's sort of big into, different software programs,
Yes.
but that data is becoming more and more available to us. But I think a lot of owners, either they don't understand it or don't understand how to dissect it.
Correct.
And make the best use of it. So talk to me about how, how are you addressing that issue?
Yeah. So we, obviously, I work for an owner who obviously is always looking forward. Daniel doesn't necessarily look like every other owner, I would tell you, in the landscape industry. He doesn't have a landscape background other than he grew up with the family company, but he has a business background. And so we're always looking at how can we do things differently? So we obviously use bomb data, which is software that Daniel is involved with, that kind of pulls out a lot of data out of Aspire and then kind of brings it in a little bit. So when our project managers are just very clear, these are the 3 things we want you looking at, because you could have 50 dials and Aspire on your front screen, but not know how to do anything with any of them, right? And I think sometimes you can give employees too much data, right? The majority of folks in our industry got in because they love the outdoors. They love to be with people. They love to be outdoors. They love to make beautiful spaces. They love to have their hands in those opportunities. The last thing they want to do is spend more time at their computer. And so we've tried to figure out how to make people more mobile, but also, take that data. And if they want to see more of it, we're totally cool with that. But skim it down to here's your actionable items. And so we try really hard through EOS to have scoreboards that give everybody a number. And it's that's your key metric. That's what you're focused on. If you want to move the needle in the company, these are the things you have to do, right? And so, you can have 16 levels of data in the company. And that's important for those of us who want to move bigger picture, right? Who really want to dig in. But then it's our responsibility as leaders to take that data, distill it down and be here, this is the part you need to know. I'm not saying, I'm really excited about the advent of AI and what that can really do to particularly the landscape industry and data collection and data analysis. Really excited about what that will look like in the future.
No, for sure. And, and as, more consolidation, companies going through that M&A, you need to figure out ways and how you could compete with that group.
Yes.
How long have you been, dialing those numbers in, and what type of differences are you seeing in your company in terms of either profitability or, gross margin improvement?
Yeah, we've seen, the biggest thing at Greenscape, and we obviously do some M&A. We acquire. We're on the smaller end of the acquiring, right? We're not competing with the same companies that Yellowstone and those guys are looking to buy, right? But we do acquire smaller companies. We've folded in several over the last couple of years. And that's really been the key piece. Is a lot of times I get to that point where the data becomes more important, but it's like not the thing they really want to deal with, right? And so we've really learned to like, how do we pull those in, get them into a single system, and then be able to pull that data out and then make improvements along the way. And we've been doing it now. We've been Aspire since 2018. Before that, we were an Asset. So we've always, since I've been at Greenscape, Michael and Daniel were one of the original people, I think, on Asset years ago, because when I started in 2002, they were on it then.
Okay.
So we're talking about a company who's been in some kind of landscape software for over 20 some years at this point. And so we've always been more of that kind of a company as long as I've been at Greenscape. The biggest thing I've seen is that, we continue to want to make the user experience better in software. And I still think that's the place that we as an industry continue to need to do better. I think there's definitely a lot of software out there that I use, in other places that feels like a little more user intuitive. And I still think that's an area of improvement for our industry, because I think the more we grow and we bring in people from outside the industry, they're going to expect that, right? They're going to expect software that's up to date and cutting edge, and that you're using it. And so especially as an industry, we need more people, right? We're going to have to look outside of our narrow skill set, right? And so you bring in these outside folks, they're like, what is, and you're using something old or outdated, or it's not quite kept up with the times. They're going to start looking at that and going, well, we got to use that. That's an issue.
That's
right.
Funny.
And so that's always on my head of like, when I hire outside, what do they think? Right. We want to be the industry that's moving ahead and building on that. We definitely don't want the industry that's like, oh, that's the guy with the truck, right? And he just has mowers in the back and we drive around all day.
Right.
That's not the image these folks want to have, right? And I think that's, there's room for all of that in our industry, but I think as we grow, we need people from outside to grow in data collection. I think data analytics is positions companies are starting to hire for. I know of a couple already that have that position, right? And that's something we've looked at. Even in training and development, I think the days of the training and developing person being in the field are over. I think that training development person is now like managing learning management software. They're making sure things are happening. They're delegating out. And because more and more of our training is actually needing to happen around the software, not necessarily around the field tasks, right? Because that's what I look like, is that I have great foremen who are really able to train, new crew members coming in, right?
Yeah.
But where all my foremen have trouble? Crew mobile, or getting to the next step, or moving from foreman to project manager.
Such a great point.
That gap's gotten bigger if we don't prepare them, right? Because gone are the days of when that project manager did everything on paper and notebook and maybe an Excel file, right? They've got to use the software now. And so that's been the part we've looked at, is like, how do we continue to be able to take foremen who don't have software skills necessarily and move them up to project managers if they want that step, and how do we get them prepared for that? And I think that's something as an industry we'll continue to have to look at.
No, that's such a great important point there, because I know NALP look at how do we attract more people into the industry, how do we make it look seem more professional, how do we make it more attractive to the parents of kids that are potentially going to college. And I think technology is that opportunity, because you're right. There's so many. You brought up a great example about that gap between like the crew and that project manager type level, or even the middle senior managers that are so struggling to analyze the data and look at the dashboards, look at the dials. So such a great opportunity there.
I think that's part of why you need that person who's doing the data analytics who can distill that down. Right. Because then it's like, and then they're like, hey, oh, cool, I have action. Oh, that dial is telling me this. That's how, then they start to learn, right? They can take a dial and put it to action. If it's just a dial for a dial's sake, it really doesn't do you any good. Or, kind of job dashboard or whatever. It doesn't do you good if nobody knows how to use it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, so true. And as you said, yes, maybe have, 15, 20, 30 different dials, but if you just dial it down to the 2 or 3 that actually make a difference, that move the needle.
Yep.
That's such an important statement right there.
Yeah. Yeah. I think sometimes we get excited about all the new things and bells and whistles, and sometimes we lose track sometimes of, well, that's really the only bell and whistle I need to look at, those 3 right there.
Yeah, so true. So true. Just to jump topics, you'd mentioned EOS, and I know you're you've been scaling company, you're acquiring companies.
Yes.
I think, I'm a big fan. I do a lot of the EOS facilitation myself. And I think it's just such a great platform to be able to help build and scale your company. Talk to me about how long you've been on it, how it's been helping your company.
Yes, we've been on EOS, gosh, now at least 5 years, probably more like 7 years, maybe longer, 8 years. I can't even remember when we got on at this point. At this point, it's just become part of the life fabric. We do
Right.
business.
Which is
People have
great.
asked me that before, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't remember. So what we do is we run on EOS, which that you may just know, you can read the book Traction, right? We really try hard. Where we really felt like we needed a little help was around structure, around processes and meetings. Who's not been to a horrific meeting? Oh, wait, where everybody just kind of says their thing and we go around the room and everybody talks, but we don't actually accomplish anything. So one of the things that really accomplished us, really liked about US, is it gave us structure with roles and responsibilities for each position. It gave us a lot of structure around a regular rhythm of doing business. So we have weekly level 10 meetings in all of our branches and all of our branch service divisions, and our leadership team has one. And it has a very set agenda. And the good thing about that is also it has a very set time. Starts on time, ends on time. And the great thing about that is, you go through a scorecard. If anything is an issue that we call, you put it on the issues list. If anybody else has anything they want to add to the issues list, they put it on there. When we get to that part of the meeting, we then rank the issues 1 through 3. Even if there's 50 on there, you only rank 1 through 3. And then you start with 1, and you have to identify, discuss, and solve. And so we identify what the real issue is around, because what you stated might not be the real issue, right?
Right.
We really have to identify what the real issue is. We have to discuss it, and then we solve it. And, as a group, that's been really impactful. And the thing about the ranking is what we've discovered, and what they tell you in the book is most likely, if you only get to one thing in that meeting, and it's the number one thing y'all think was important, then that's really the thing that was most impactful in operating your business for the next 7 days. Right? And those 50 things at the bottom of the list that people put on there that they wanted to talk about, most likely would get solved outside of this meeting with one-side conversation. And we have a rule that if it doesn't affect 3/4 of the people in the room, we really don't need to discuss it in this meeting.
I like
because,
that.
And we do put scorecard issues. We kind of have some ranking systems. Like if it's a scorecard issue, it probably needs to go towards the top, because we've said that scorecard is critical to us running our business on a weekly basis. Right. And so we have some ranking systems we give them a little direction on. But sometimes we get to one thing. Sometimes we get to 6 things. It kind of just depends on the week, the issue, how easy the solution is. We also operate in our company in the way our structure is. We have the visionary and the integrator. And so at Greenscape, my boss, Daniel Curran, who's our CEO, he is the visionary. If you've met Daniel, he's definitely the visionary, right?
Yes, for sure. 100%. 100%.
He is like a textbook definition of a visionary. And then I am the integrator. I'm probably a pretty textbook definition of an integrator. Daniel is the one whose job it is to look forward, right? Really far forward. Like he's the one looking at the M&A stuff. He manages the bigger picture. Obviously mission, vision, those kind of things fall underneath his purview. What's the real big picture of the company? Are there other things we want to consider, right? What other things are we involved in? He handles those things. My job as the integrator, my number one job is to tell Daniel no. And he knows this. He's going to listen to this podcast, and I'm totally fine with him hearing that. So my number one job is to go no. Because a visionary, by definition, is going to get hit with 50,000 ideas, right? But we all know that in a company, you can't execute 50,000 ideas at one time and do them well, right? And so the integrator's job is to hear the visionary and then go, that one and that one, but not those two, or not right now, right? Those sound cool. We're not ready for that yet. Our manager's not ready for that. Our team's not ready. We don't have the staff. We don't have this. Something else is going on. It's my job to kind of sort through and go, those two, that's what we should do. And then my job is then to take those two and go make them happen, get the execution of those jobs done with the team, right? Obviously, everybody else on the Greenscape executive team reports to me. And that's on purpose, because that frees up that visionary to go forward and like dream up all those ideas. Because if he's not dreaming up those ideas up, we don't move forward, right? But then on the other side of the coin, if someone's not, executing on those ideas, then we also don't move forward. And so that's been a really key functionality of the business. It's freed Daniel up to go do what he wants to do. And I think this is really important for owners. You're going to get to a point where you want to go do like other things. You probably are a visionary.
100%.
most owners I have met are visionary.
Yep, so true.
You're gonna need an integrator at that point, and that really has worked well for us because I'm more in the day to day or year to year, month to month kind of operations. You know, HR reports to me, finance, all of our operational teams, all of our sales teams, everybody, because that's where we really need to go execute at. Frees Daniel up to go forward, and so that's been a really impactful change in our business because he has that skill set of the visionary and I have the skill set of the integrator, but I don't have the visionary skill set. I mean, to some degree, yes, but like not like he does.
Right,
Right?
right. Yeah.
And I'm okay with that.
He's on a different level. He's on a different
He is on
level.
a different level. And so that's been a key part of EOS that I think for a lot of business owners that they're starting to scale their business or get it out of, or they feel like they're kind of just repeating, God, I'm stuck in these fires all day long and I have all these things I want to do. We want to do the company forward. This is the part where you need to start thinking about who your integrator is.
Yeah, and I think that just helps to scale your company, take you out from, that a lot of companies get stuck at a certain level, that plateau. And a lot of times it's because they have that dual role of integrator and implementer.
And visionary.
Visionary, sorry.
Yep.
And so I think just having that, separating that role, and yes, there's obviously a cost to that.
There is.
But I think it's, it definitely helps you scale your company and it frees up that visionary, that founder. And oftentimes, I've seen so many people just being beat up for years. They're tired, they're exhausted.
Exhausted, yeah.
And they're looking for an exit. But if you just,
they're not integrators.
Yeah. Free up that role and free up some time and then start having fun again.
Yeah. So enjoy the business. Like life's too short. I mean, that's the other thing for me. I mean, I know you have a lot of outside interests out of work and I do as well. And, I think that that's also a key thing I've learned over my career. You asked me earlier what I had gained on is that earlier in my career, I probably spent too much time working. And now I'm really cognizant about how I not do that.
Awesome. Leslie, if people want to reach out to you and learn more about you, learn more about the business, whether it be the data, whether it be EOS, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
I mean, I think LinkedIn's probably always the best place. It's Leslie Herndon with an N in there. And that's probably the best place to reach out with me for Greenscape Inc.
Okay, awesome. Leslie, really enjoyed our conversation. I thought there was some great nuggets there for our audience. So thank you for your time today.
Perfect. Thanks, Robert.
Thank you. Take care.
You too. Bye.
Hopefully that was pure, dead brilliant for you today, and you got some great takeaways for your business or your leadership role. This is Robert Clickybeard. We'd love to get you and your friends to join us in our future journey. So please subscribe to our various podcast channels or visit thecommerciallandscaper.com or wilson360.com. Love you to join you there. We have our new 360 Plus community program we'd love you to sign up for. It's on the far right-hand side of our website. Thanks again for our partner, Weathermatic, and I encourage you to reach out to them. Have a pure, dead, brilliant day. Cheers, everyone.